Hello everyone, this is HG Shapes here. I'm back with another video. Today, kind of a special occasion. I'm going to use this time to review and talk to you about the Wolfman WR2 1.25 gap solid bar razor. This is something that I picked up from a friend a number of months ago, and unfortunately I'm only really now getting around to using it every day, and I'm going to try and use this for the whole rest of the month. Just to really see how it works for me. But I've now had maybe 10 days of use on this razor, and I thought I'd talk to you about it. So first of all, I should say that the handle is not a Wolfman handle. This is made by an eBay seller who goes by the handle of something to the effect of Russian Bear, and this is a titanium handle. So just wanted to say that real quick, that it's a Wolfman head with a aftermarket handle. So if you're not familiar with Wolfman razors, they're made up there in Edmonton, Canada, by a guy. I think he just works out of his own machining shop, and they have for a long time been considered, one of the best high-end DE razor on the market in the whole world. Some of the special editions of these razors, like he used to make titanium versions of the whole razor, and then he had, of course, the BBS1, which he made for LA Shaving Company for a very short period of time. And those razors fetch crazy dollars, sometimes close to $1,000 for some of those pieces. And anyway, this is a razor head model that you still can get. He has a long wait list that you just hop on, and from how I understand it, he lets you know when your order is ready, or not when your order is ready, but when your spot is ready, and you email him your customizations and things like that, and then he makes it for you. So I wouldn't say this is a unobtainable razor head. It's just something that you're gonna have to wait a long time for, or be lucky to pick up on the BST forums. So let's get into some of the physical features of this razor. So I should say that overall, when you have the handle and the head put together, it weighs at 95 grams, which is a pretty sweet spot for me. The razor head is made out of stainless steel, and as I said, the handle is titanium. So first, let me show you what the top cap looks like. It's a very simple design with a substantial thread here in the middle. And the thing that's great about this razor are the posts, in my opinion. They come up very high, and when you set the blade in, let me show you what happens when you put the blade in here. When you set the blade in, it's significantly under these posts. I don't know, maybe a millimeter, 2 millimeters under. So you don't have to worry about something like blade play or anything like that. I think the top cap and of course the base plate, they both contribute to really have a good hold on that blade. So now let me show you what the base plate looks like. On the back, it says Wolfman WR2. I should say, for the finish, by the way, this is the basic polished, textured, and I haven't polished this up. I've just been using it every day, so it's got a little bit of wear on it. That's what the other side looks like. And again, I really appreciate the simplicity of this. I mean, I don't have many razors that have writing on the base plate like that, so that's special. And then another cool thing about this razor is how the safety bar has some texture to it. I don't think you would consider this scalloped, but it has a nice finish to it that I think if you hold the razor when you're shaving like I do, where you're kind of riding the safety bar more than you are riding the top cap, you do get to feel that nice finish on the safety bar. So now I'm going to assemble it back up for you. I do have a washer here on the bottom. I tend to use washers for all of my 3-piece razors at this point, just to preserve the bottom of the base plate. And great blade alignment. You're not gonna have to worry about that being at a whack. And I do want to talk about the end tabs. There is just a slight amount showing. I mean, you could barely even see it on camera, but the point is it's just enough to where you can hold onto the blade, you know, while you're taking off the handle, taking off the base plate, but it's not so much that you're gonna have to actually worry about, you know, nicking yourself, which I think that rarely happens, but maybe that's a concern to you. So anyway, there's the rundown on the razor. I'm gonna go ahead and get lathered up here, and I'll bring you back in right when I'm about to shave. So be right back. All right, we're back, and we're just gonna get right into it here and talk about the most important thing. How does this thing shave? Well, for one, for the angle, I'm going back to basics here, and I'm doing the thing where you just hold it against your face and then tilt slightly up. So this angle I'm using right here feels very comfortable, and you can really hear the hair being cut as well. So in terms of my handle technique here, I'm really trying to not bear down too much, because while this razor is comfortable, I've found that I need to use a very, very light touch. It won't, you know, I won't get big nicks or anything, but you can get razor burn. At least I can with this razor. Again, if I'm not just being very mindful of my touch. And so it's taken a little bit of getting used to, because it does feel a little kind of risky at times to have such a light grip on the handle, but it has proven to yield better shaves for me. In terms of the blade gap on this, you know, 1.25 sounds crazy, right? But I should tell you that, you know, the blade gap thing, it's always very relative. So is this razor twice as aggressive as a timeless 0.68? Probably not. But, you know, it still is kind of a medium aggressive razor. And I think this is the highest that he offers in his standard gaps. For WR2s, it starts at 0.95, I think, for the standard ones, and it goes above to 1.25. There are some out there that are lower or higher than that, but those are custom blade gaps. And to be honest, I don't know if you can still get those. Like, if you know if your name comes up on the list. I think the blade that you use in this is probably more important than some people might give credit for. I'm using a Gillette Menorah at the moment, which is a South African blade. and it's already up to like 10, 11 uses. It still feels good though, so I'm not going to ditch it until I feel like I really need to. But it's amazing what this razor can do in one pass. I mean, you could do some touch-ups right here and then be done if you really need to be out in a hurry. I am going to relather here and talk about the second pass because I want to talk to you about the other shaving angles with this razor. So I'm going to rinse it. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to do my second and final pass, which I typically do with razors against and across and against the grain. One thing for, the balance point on this handle is, or the razor is near the top of the handle here. And so when I'm going across, I find myself choking up quite a bit, just so I have a good balance. The way this razor head holds the blade is very, very good. And, I would actually borrow a word that my friend said yesterday. I think it's perfect, actually. Doesn't feel like it ever wiggles. And that's pretty rare. Even with some razors that are, well made like this one is, you can still feel the blade move around every now and then. So it's just a testament to how well this thing is made. And I would say those against the grain strokes I'm doing, which for me is mostly south to north, like I'm about to do right now, they feel very, very comfortable. Now, is it as smooth against the grain as, an English Tech? No. Is it as smooth as even a Rockwell 6C on a plate 2 or 1 against the grain? No. But all of those razors are very, very mild. And so I think some of the people who find that this razor is not as comfortable against and across the grain, you got to consider how much of a gap there is, right? So I don't think it's fair to expect this razor to be as smooth against the grain as those other ones. Let's say, the most important thing. Should you get this razor? Should you get on the wait list? Answer's maybe, but I would say probably not. The whole thing with this razor, and the reason why I think most people should get one if they want to, is if they're playing the long game with these shaving items, as I like to say. So if you really think that you're going to pass these down to your kids and their kids, and you want to give them something that was, the best of its time, then sure, you should get this razor. However, someone like me, I'm not necessarily playing that long game. And ultimately, I'm undecided at this point if I'm going to be keeping this razor after this month. Again, I am trying to use it every day this month to really give me a good sense of how it works. And it's certainly gotten way more comfortable in the past 10 days compared to the first time I tried it. When I first got it in the mail and I used it, I thought, man, this is kind of a rough razor, which it can be. but I would say it's not right now. Using that light touch, and again, I've just kind of gotten used to how it feels. And, you know, that's not a good justification for, you know, selling you on this. Of course, you can say that about any piece of gear. Well, you can just get used to it. So, again, you would have to have really, I think, strong reasons to want to get this razor. Which, again, if you're just the person that wants to get the best thing out there, then sure, go for it. But if you're not that person and you're not playing the long game, there are lots of other razors that I could suggest to you at the higher gap. Maybe not as many at the higher gap, but certainly at the lower gap, like the 0.95. I got lots of razors that I would recommend over those mild gaps first. So I'm gonna rinse, put on some unscented toner, because that's what I'm doing this month, and I'm gonna come back and give you some final thoughts just in a second. Closing thoughts for the WR2 1.25 solid bar razor. It's been getting better as I use it, right? I definitely like it more than I did at the start. But again, I still get a little bit of razor burn irritation here in the central part of my face. And hopefully I can keep improving on that. But otherwise, it's a very comfortable, very, very close cut. This is an efficient razor, but I wouldn't call it like brutally efficient. So again, even though this has that 1.25 millimeter gap, which sounds wild, I have used razors before that felt rougher than this and had a smaller gap. So that is something to be said, is that even in the higher gaps of this razor, it's still well maintained, and I think a lot of that has to do with the blade edge control. With any DE, if the blade is constantly wiggling, you're not going to have a comfortable experience. So again, I have to say that this is a beautifully made razor. You can't do better than this in terms of finish, I think, and just the quality of how it's made. And so those are some things to consider if you're considering hopping on the list. And that's the nice thing about the way he does his list, right? Is you can put your name on it, but then I think by the time your turn comes up, if you don't want it anymore, that's okay. He'll pass your spot on to the next person. So WR2 Wolfman, going to keep using this month, and maybe I'll do kind of a follow-up video at the end of the month to see if anything significant has changed in my thoughts. But thank you all for watching, especially if you made it this far. This was a very detailed, extra nerdy, even by these nerd standards that I make my videos on. So thank you if you made it this far. Let me know what you think about this razor. If you've used one before, what you've heard about it, even if you haven't, because there's certainly a lot of people know about these razors even if they don't have one. So leave me a message. I'd love to hear from you. But this has been HD Shaves. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.